Live. Hi. I know it's twice today. Welcome to For Feck's Sake Marketing Adventures with Carmel, where we share tips, tricks, insights all about how to market your business, including, we're all for being transparent here, the slip ups and the successes, where we bring you some inspiring and real, I have to change that words because I keep tripping over it, and real business builders and some exceptional entrepreneurs like my guest this afternoon who have overcome hurdles to market their business. And if you're watching this on social media, please give us a like, a thumbs up, or a comment below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and ring that little bell so that you can be alerted next time we're having some of these amazing interviews. We're going to be talking today about the top 3 tips to writing brilliantly, even when you think you can't. So quite often, and I was one of those people that thought she couldn't write at all. So let me introduce you to my amazing guest. I always get mixed up as to which side I'm going to. Birgit. Now, let me pronounce your surname correctly, maybe. Itse. Can I pronounce it correctly?
Good morning, good afternoon, or whatever the time is where you are. Mine's 8:06. Well, I have to compliment you. The first name was almost flawless, and you got the surname with the first statement almost. It's itself, but without the elf. So Itse.
Itse. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try and remember
Surname
that.
is very easy. You say how it's written.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, that's the thing. Don't we try and add some stuff to it that doesn't need to be there? Well, let me introduce you properly. You are an ex-journalist and radio presenter turned writer, published author, and ghostwriter. Based now in Aberdeen in Scotland. So I've just been talking to somebody in London earlier and somebody in Denver, Colorado earlier today I interviewed. It's just amazing. So you help other people write by helping ghostwriting their memoirs and business books, and you're on a mission, big mission, to help people who have to write for business or their profession but don't intend to be writers.
Yes,
So
exactly.
absolutely. So you're not originally from Scotland, though, are you? So tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and how you've ended up here doing this.
Yeah, I'm going to do the long story, a short version. But I'm originally from Estonia. That's a small Nordic country, a bit south of Finland, east of Sweden, north of Latvia. So look at that direction. Try to find Scandinavia and then the Baltic Sea, and then you'll find that little country. Estonian population is only 1.3 million people.
Wow.
So it's a very tiny country. And Scotland was a place where I dreamed of living about maybe 8 years before I made the move. And mainly because the way literature and writing is incorporated into daily lives and businesses, and I love the way they raise even children with storytelling. So I this is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And as a journalist, I love stories. I just, when there was an opportunity to share stories of people just around us, that was the most enjoyable part of my work. So almost 2 years ago, 30th of December 2019, I took my teenager and we moved countries. I came to Aberdeen. I didn't know anybody here, so I didn't come to, to live with someone.
A job or anything like that?
No. I had nothing here. Just the house were light and choose that way. And in April 2020, I started my own business. Yes, this is what I work with. The coaching part came because people kept asking, like, do you do this? Do you do that? Do you do this? And how to do this? And I was like, okay, as much as I enjoy writing, it would be selfish not to teach what I know.
Yeah.
and not expect that everybody know what I know. And at first, it was really surprising to see people taking notes while I speak, because I didn't expect I have much to say. But
Yeah.
it's just wonderful. And I do believe that all of us have, to some extent, a writing genius in us. So we don't have
Yeah.
to be writers, but we have things to say,
Yeah.
and we have our own ways to say it. And this is what I do when I say that I help unleash the writing genius in you.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. And tell me that just to go back a little bit, in Estonia, as I said, that you were a journalist and you were also on radio there. Is that correct?
Yes, for about 6.5 years, I worked for Estonian Broadcast Company, which is the national. I was so I went out, I interviewed people, I created radio stories, I edited news, I presented them, I was um, 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 doing the technical stuff as well. I really, really enjoy that. But that was in Tallinn, which is the capital. And probably people like you are just being in the big cities. When I said I got tired of living in a big city, Tallinn has
Yeah.
about 400,000 people. So that's not really a big city in worldwide. But
Yeah.
I went back to my childhood house. Moved to a countryside, into a village with just 50 people. And for almost 7 years, I worked as a county newspaper journalist. And that wasn't just about writing. That gave me an opportunity to do pretty much everything in journalism. I did
Yes.
live broadcasts. I hosted big events that had multiple cameras on. Of course, I did writing. I took pictures. I edited videos. So I did a lot of things, and it really grew me as a journalist. And these are just, altogether almost 13 years or a bit over. But before that, and in between, I did a lot of jobs. But when I look back, everything that I've done within like more than 20 years that I've been working, I started working when I was 16, then the most I've enjoyed writing. And I was looking
Yes.
for things that I can write. And if there wasn't an opportunity to write in that profession, I created it.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Love it. I love that awareness of it. So, when you say you retired to the city, you went to the country. So, what was it made you decide to come to Scotland?
Um, as I mentioned, one of them was storytelling, but I
Yeah.
visited Scotland the first time in 2011. And we had a study tour, and that study tour was about literature. I worked in a writers' museum that time back in Estonia, and I had never dreamed of living abroad before. My sister used to live in Ireland, and she was in Ireland that time. But I even wrote a poem, a very patriotic poem, how I didn't understand why people should move abroad and why they couldn't stay in Estonia, like all that. And in
Yeah.
2011, we were in a countryside of Scotland, visiting a country house of Thomas Carlyle, who happened to inspire one of the most famous Estonian writers. And there were those cute Highland cows the other side of the fence, just about maybe 20 or 15 meters from the parking spot. And me and my colleague and former boss, we just wanted to stroke them and, just get closer because they were so cute. And our hostess, Mary, if you're watching, hi, then she warned us, just don't go there. It's you might fall in because it's peat. And we were like,
Yeah.
come on, peat. Estonia has bogs. We know how to walk on peat. That's nothing. You just look at the heather and stuff and come on, like this is nothing.
Yeah.
And so we took the steps and we didn't make it to halfway. And all of a sudden, I was in that peat up to my knees. I was stuck. I was stuck. in Scotland. And we were laughing. We had tears falling from our eyes. And I told my manager, like, if I'm ever going to live abroad, then it's going to be Scotland.
Yeah,
And we laughed. Yeah, we
because I
laughed.
love the peat.
Yeah. Fucking Pete. We forgot about it, or I forgot about it until 2017, when with my son we had some tough times we were going through, and I think it was after Christmas and sometime between and the New Year, I asked him, like, would you love to go on a holiday with me, just you and me, like somewhere out abroad?
Yeah.
And he said yes. And I had a brochure that I had brought with me from the previous trip. And he was looking at me.
From the peat bogs in
Yeah, something like that. And
yeah.
And he said, let's go to Scotland. I said, yeah, let's go. So we had an 8-day road trip in Scotland, and that helped us find ourselves again and redefine the relationship we had. And we felt so well taken care of. And when the plane landed, he looked at me and said, Mom, can we go and live in Scotland? He was 9.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
it took us another 3 years. But when a bit more than 2 years ago, I was crying my heart out. And I was in a state where I felt like I'm not enough for my life, and my life is not enough for me. And then my best friend asked, like, Birgit, you've been talking for years how you want to go and live in Scotland. You've been talking for years how you want to write books. When are you going to do that? And that was like a mental slap on the face. And that just starting my personal growth journey with a mindset mentor, that helped me to make all the moves. So 8 weeks later, we were in Aberdeen.
Here we were. That's awesome.
Yep.
Go, very brave move as well, though. Very, very brave to do that.
Yeah, so, I understand it now. When people said that, when I did it, then I was like, what? You just moved. But now, when I think of all of that, I'm thinking, yeah, it kind of was brave.
Awesome. So let's get into it. Thank you so much for being so honest. And we talked about, when we were on the call, about, writing, even if you think you can't. And people do, whether it's in front of a video, or it's having to write a script for something, or it's having to write an email that they need to broach it in a certain way, or quite often now it's content for social media. So give us those 3 tips. Let's start looking at what those 3 tips are to being able to write brilliantly, even when you think you can't. Over to you.
Thanks. So the first tip would be, what is it that you want to say? And if you think you can't write, just try to record it. Try to record it like you would speak to someone. What is it that you want to say? What is your message? Like, do you want to teach them something? Do you want to inspire? Do you have a good deal that you like to inform them about? What is it that you want to say? Think about that. And it doesn't have to be flawless. Just try to get it out of you. Because when you have a lot of things in your head, then it makes you feel like, I don't know what to say, or I don't know how to do that. The first step would be just get it out of you. And if you don't feel comfortable writing it first, record it. And then there are a lot of artificial intelligence. You even don't have to type it manually. Just use one of those artificial intelligence that will transcribe it for you.
Yeah, one of those is Otter, or I also know a friend of mine used Google Record.
Yeah.
When she was walking around the shopping center.
Yeah. Otter has a free version that you can do up to 20 minutes together. Like I even don't know, they changed the terms and conditions lately, but I think if you have a lot of transcription thing to do, like if you do a lot of interviews with the customers, like market research and all this, you can use that as well, like Zoom calls or Google Meet. Then I'd say that's $99 per year. It's definitely worth it. It makes your life so much easier, saves so much time. I use it myself as well. So that would be the first step. Get it out of you. Don't think about it, that this is the thing that you have to post. Just get it out of you, the way you would speak. Imagine you have a best friend that you want to say, and that would be the first tip to do. The second is when you start writing. So that's step 2. You've got it out of you. Let's say you recorded it because you don't think you can write. Then start, transcribe it and start writing. Just play around with it. And again, forget that you have to post it. Play around with it. Maybe there are 2 messages. Maybe in that 15-minute conversation with yourself that you just had, there are 2 or 3 messages. So don't waste your content. That I see a lot, that people are wasting their content. They try to put everything into one post. Everything.
All right. Okay. So expand a little bit on wasting your content.
Like they will, there's a good deal that they want to inform. Then they want to inspire and they want to educate.
Yeah.
Everything in one post, instead of just dividing them into themes. I just bring example from my own business. When I celebrated my first business anniversary, then I could have put 12 things. I did it as a theme. So because it was the first year, it includes 12 months.
Yeah.
Then I came up with the idea that I'm going to mention 12 things that I learned or what I did during my first year in business. So the theme was my first year in business. Yeah. And I could have done one post and just listed all of those 12 things and done. That's wasting your content. You can write about each bullet point.
Yes, you can expand on each one.
You can expand and create a series, and then you make people coming back to your page because they want to know more.
Yes. Love it. And you can even make that as part of your blog, and it can also be part of the email you send out, and it can also be part of a video that you make. It's like the same content can do everything so much. Even these kind of videos as recordings, we can take the transcription out of that and we can splice and dice it into little bits, or we can take the transcription and put a little bit of extra, or clean it up a bit and put it into a blog as well. There's so much you can do, isn't there?
Yes. And like you mentioned, when you feel comfortable doing lives and just speaking to people, then again, transcribe it. There might be bits and pieces that you can use as a written content, because there are people who love watching videos, and there are people like me who like reading stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to have both. You're right. There's so many different types of people. So they're more auditory, more visual, whatever. And whatever their learning way, when you can present your content in their way, they're much more likely to connect with it.
And one of the most valuable tips that I've heard from a marketing specialist as well, like in 3 or 6 months' time, nobody remembers what you posted on your Facebook, like that. You can easily reuse your content.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even say it's as long as 3 or 6 months. It's absolutely, you can reuse it. And one of the things that I do sometimes is I'll make a quote card, something that you've said in there. You go, oh my God, that was actually brilliant. How did I come up with that? go on to Canva, make a nice image, put the text on it, and make a quote card in your branding colors and everything. Like, and I was one of these people. I kept thinking I have to do more content, more content, more content. Well, it's not. You can actually reuse the content you have in so many different ways, and we don't
Be
always
smart
do.
about it. Be smart
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
So
Awesome.
the second one is just if you conclude it, it's writing as you speak.
Yeah.
What
So transcribe it and start playing
yeah,
with it a
yeah,
little
and
bit.
just to
Yeah.
rephrase it a bit, but what people tend to do, especially when they think they can't write, is they try to be politically legislation, like they're trying to be very correct
And
in the
grammatically
expression.
correct.
Yes, like all they
Yeah.
think about all those restrictions.
Yes.
But again, think like you write to your friend.
Yes.
Like your customers are not your enemies. You don't
Yes.
have to
Yes. Love it.
justify yourself. They're your friends. They're curious. They want to
Yeah.
know stuff. So
And I
think,
think that marketing wise, that has changed over the years because it used to have to be exactly correct, but people want to get to know the real person now. And
yeah,
one thing I learned a long time ago is stop trying to make it right and do all the punctuation while you're getting it out of your head. It's like two different parts of the brain are at work. So I do what you're saying. I'll do what I call the brain dump, which is what do I want to say? What do I need to say?
yeah,
Then I start fixing it. When I think it's all there, then I'll put the grammar and everything into it properly.
yeah. I call it
Yeah.
sometimes verbal diarrhea. Just just get
Ah.
it out of everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, and think of your customers as your friends, as people who are curious, who want to get to know you. So that's why it's really important to stay yourself when you're doing
Yeah.
this, not to think about too much what your competitors or other businesses in that area are doing, but
Exactly.
they are doing it that way. Sometimes it's really recommended to go and do that research, how it's done, and compare what is working, what is not, all that. Well, if you found it helpful, do that. But if you feel like this is causing you overwhelm, just stop it. Go
Yeah.
back to what you think feels right.
Yeah.
Because and I got it because one of my customers told me that. She told me, Birgit, you're a divine to work with. And I was like, wow, this is the emotion that I'd like to have from my customers, and this is what I'd
Yeah.
like to think of my customers. They are divine to work with, but this happens only when you're being you.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're
When you're
trying
in
to
flow, you're
pretend,
not. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're
So
trying to
much easier.
pretend someone you're not and copy someone very successful,
Yeah.
then you just copy them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And for me, I've experienced that myself because I was presenting how I thought I should be, whatever. And when I became just me, and the highest compliment I ever got was, "You're the exact same offline as you are online." It was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
because I wasn't trying to be anything, and it's much less energy. You don't have to then keep up the facade because that's just who you are. Of course, there's levels of respect, and we
yeah.
put borders around certain things. I get that, but when you are in flow and you're being genuinely you, and it's coming from you, and it's much easier to remember stuff. You don't have to, because you're not trying to go, oh my god, what was that, what was that. So tell us what's number three.
Before I go to number three, that I'm just
Oh,
mentioning, there are ways to do it more personal.
yeah,
So, like using I or we instead of our business, our organization.
yeah,
This is very official approach. So I encourage you. I did this or we did that. That was fun to do. Just show a bit of emotion. That is also being you when we come
yeah.
about that. And the third one is write first, edit later. So whatever you're writing, then what gets people stuck is thinking that the first sentence has to be flawless and ready to publish. No, it
Yes.
doesn't.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. And when you don't know, then you're facing that blank page. Then just start from your name. Hi,
Yes.
I'm
Right.
Birgit, and I'm writing this, although I have zero ideas, and I'm just gonna write whatever comes to my mind. And I know that the deadline is just it was yesterday, and I'm still working on it. So just write it out, and soon it will start coming.
It will
There
start
are
to
also
flow. What a
prompts.
great tip.
Yeah, there are also prompts that you can use. Just writing is a muscle. And you don't run a marathon when you've been sitting on a couch for months. You don't go and run a marathon. You do a bit of workout first. You train yourself for a marathon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
and how we tend to say when we do our workshops with Ian Michael, who is also a marketing expert, then we came up with a comparison that creativity is a stamina and writing is a muscle. And both. To run a marathon and running a business is like running a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a
No.
marathon.
No. No. No.
So you have to have both. And when you're trying to edit while you're writing, then you just basically trying to accelerate and pushing on the brakes at the same time.
Yes. I love that analogy. That's so true. Because
So
yeah. Yeah. And I tend to do that write first and edit later, but it's a learned skill over time because an amazing copywriter like yourself told me that. Because I was going, I have to put this and I have to put that comma and it has to, and it's like, no, just literally go, bleh. And people say to me, somebody actually just said to me today, oh, I love how the words just flow to you. I'm going, no, they don't. And you could give me insight to this. I've heard of with copywriters before. And it's that comparison thing, isn't it, as well? We look at other people that it's easy for, and we go, oh my God, that's so easy for them, but I can't do it. But like for headlines, for example, quite often a copywriter will write 50 to 100 headlines before they actually get the headline.
Yes. You might easily spend 15-20 minutes working on a headline only. Luckily, there are tools that help with that score you headline. So when you get at least 70 points of score, then it's a good headline.
Right.
Yeah. So one of the tools that I've used is Go Schedule. Go Schedule. They have a headline tool as well, and they'll score you and they recommend whether you need a power word or you need something that pops or to rephrase your headline. So there are free tools to help you with headlines as well. But when you don't do the first two steps, then the third one is just mechanical, writing a headline or the
sorry, something went a bit weird there.
I was having a solo show here.
Yeah, I know. I have been onto my internet provider today. There's been some hiccups, some weird stuff going on, but that's okay.
But yeah.
While you were doing that about the title generator, another one is called Hoth, Hoth. That's another one where you can type in a few keywords and it comes up with some headlines for you.
Yeah. There are a lot of tools. So you just spend a bit of time on doing an internet research. Like, there are probably lists of tools that you can use. And when you find one that really works for you, I'd recommend to stick to that. Not really, maybe there's a better one. Then you're spending quite a lot of time. But if you find something that really works and you can get your head and hands around it, then I tend to stick to that and not to look anywhere else.
Not to overcomplicate. And you're so right when you say that, because people tend to get bright, shiny itis. I may or may not be familiar with it myself, but let's not go there. And it's like the next thing is next thing. Oh, that's a headline support. Oh, this is a better one. This is a better one, but one that works for you and one that gives you results. And I don't know about you, but the advice to give someone is mostly just to start.
Yes.
Rather
Yeah.
than do
Yeah. When you
anything.
don't
It's
start,
just
you don't
start.
finish. Yeah. When you don't
Yeah.
start, you don't finish.
You can't do anything without starting. It's awesome. And I'm sure we could talk a lot more. So maybe we'll get you on another time, because those 3 tips alone. So it was tip number 1 was, what do you want to say? Get it out of your head. And if you can't write it, then record the blessed thing. Number 2 was transcribe it then and start playing with it. Forget that you have to post it as if you're writing to your best friend. Just start doing that. And then number 3 is write first and edit later. Just start. Remember, it's a muscle, so it takes practice. So the more you practice, the more you'll be able to do it. Now, there's a couple more questions I have for you, but one of them is, if people would like to contact you, what's the best place for them to contact you? So on social media, I'll just pop that up. That's your Facebook page.
Yes. Feel free to pop me a message, and we can have a chat. Also, I'm very happy if you're nosy on my website. Then my other socials are there, including LinkedIn and what I do on Instagram. Because I wrote my book on Instagram and I keep writing it. I'm not very active on Twitter. Just occasionally have a look at it. But also I have my Word Coach page on Facebook, and that's also accessible from my website. So awesome. If you want to get to know more about what I do, and maybe have a look at the previous podcasts I've been, and the workshops that are coming up, then just
hop onto the website. That's awesome. Yeah. And you can just Google your name. It's an unusual name, guys. You can just look here. You can look back and go back on the recording if you're watching it. So one question that I always love to ask my guests at the very end before we finish off is, if you were not doing what you're doing right now, what would you be doing instead?
How long back I can go?
No, if you're not doing what you're doing now, right now, in this moment, if you weren't doing that, what would you be doing instead?
If I wouldn't be doing writing, that I would be probably doing something creative, like speaking. I'm not a very good actor. Also, I love theatre. But something with presenting, maybe be a tour guide, because this is something I really enjoy, talking to people, sharing stories. I'd probably be a tour guide.
Awesome. Cool. It's a question I always like to ask people, just in case. Birgit, thank you so much for being here. I think we could talk a lot longer, but I am aware of the time. So I really appreciate you coming on here, and we'll get you on again, I'm sure, in the new year. In the meantime, guys, thank you for joining us at For Feck's Sake Marketing Adventures. Of course, there's always my website, which is just on the roller down the bottom, and you can find me on YouTube if you want to see some more of these interviews and some more tips and tricks that I'm going to be putting up there about video. Because as you can see us, you can feel us, you can hear us. So video marketing is getting even higher in a need for you to be able to communicate and connect with more people all over the world. So Birgit, again, thank you so much for being here. And guys, it's a bye from me.
Thank you, Carmel, and thank you everybody for watching.